Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 8th of July. And, well, no, you're not looking at the current chart. You're looking at a chart from, guess when? That's right, from the 3rd, which was right before the holiday. So if we go ahead and click our little mouse, the little info window should pop up there and give us the date, 7/3. Now, it was at this time after the previous day where we had talked about the buy signal that came through. We were in this continuation mode, and that it was still continuing. Then we got all the way to the end of the day, and I gave you these 2 points, which were the key breakouts for positive extremes that I told you we would likely be looking for going forward. And, you know, some people will say, well, how did you know, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, you know, this is where it goes back to the old sayings of, you know, the guy with the super knowledge coming down from the sky seems like a demigod or a god himself, but in reality, it's just knowledge, and we're blessed with the mathematical knowledge that provides us with this information. So nothing extraordinary or unique happened other than we followed what the math did, and those little yellow lines come all the way across. And so when we reached the peak, beautiful DOC spread, even though it started right here when it was still with the red above, well, it was right above 7.5. It started to fade below after the first crossover here, which you knew was still likely to potentially come back above. And then it started to break down. And then once it was below 76, ABM yellow, boom, we got into the cascade. It crossed over right about here, which was premature of the positive extreme at this particular point, but you still had yellow below magenta. In fact, yellow was fighting with blue at that point where it was almost below. So likelihood that there wasn't going to be any support with that crossover at that particular point. So that meant, hey, we're in continuation mode. No dip of orange below the red line. Yeah, continue goes lower. So we kind of fought back and forth right at that 29.88, leaving us this next one down here at the 76 level. And sure enough, we stayed through with this continuation. There was a little bit of a potential hiccup right here where it crossed below, but it immediately spiraled back right there within a bar. And you can see that, and this is what happens when you're in this continuation zone like this. I'm looking for these crossover points. Okay, in this particular case, boom, it dipped below. And then the question is, the move back up, is this a real bullish move or not? I need to see my orange dip below red. Didn't quite happen at that particular point, and then boom, it moves above 13, and at that point it's already soft. When it does dip, I've got no crossover of yellow over magenta, so I'm not even interested. Now, at this particular secondary one, you might be thinking, ooh, I'm close. And it's like, well, when I'm this close to the actual level, 2976 range, I've got to have things really going in my direction. Now, you got the crossover and the spread of the magenta and the gold, more than 2 points right there, but you're inside that 13.5, and usually that leads to a little bit more softening before the nexus point. And so we dipped slightly below it, and boom, came right back up to it. At that point, we had huge improvement here from the shakeout, and you can see that crossover had begun earlier. Once it got above the 23%, fine, even if you wanted to wait until it actually turned green like it does over here on the setup with the positive extreme in that. Gold started just right around that same area. It was right about in there where the gold began to pick up, boom, so pretty much same level. And that led to the turnaround rally, but again, fit beautifully within the expectations that we had. Slight carry through, just checking for stops there, but it supported and based off that pretty quick off that deep setup right there. And so it looks like, you know, way ahead of the curve, some foreknowledge, but no, these were specific algo markers and gave very specific profit points. I mean, we're talking all the way from, you know, up here at this 3,000 level going down back to the 76, you know, that's 20 some points or 1,000 plus per contract just because we had the knowledge of it. And sure enough, even when it broke up to the peak, started to come back again, hits right at that 28.88, bounces up from that, And that's where it leaves us, preparing for the new open. But I just wanted to put that in there because this, really was clearly laid out, and why I specifically pointed to it. Because the expectation is real, and you can really factor significant money towards knowing these kinds of things. So when we go back to our daily, from the peak, all we did was come back, fill in this positive extreme from 2 days earlier. Still stayed above the ABM yellow, so all that was a little test, and that was a little bit of that weakness dipping below, but still cyan below red, so still overall we were generally believing in the bullish, but still had reasonable understanding of what that meant for a slight retest. NQ, likewise right at the peaks, hasn't broken into that new high, so it's slightly behind where the ES is, but it's okay. And from a euro standpoint, again, nobody's really excited about the changes at the ECB. We weren't all that thrilled anyway because we had the positive extremes that we were looking at that went from this one right here. We could see at that particular point there was nothing in there that was saying, hey, buy me. In fact, it was saying short me continuation with orange this far up. In fact, it's still in that particular place, so no change with that one. Treasuries have been haywire for a while, but they over peaked it. Then you had the great jobs number, and of course scared everybody because they realized, oh, maybe we're not going to get this rate cut. But I've never been one that believes that the rate cut is the necessary at this point, as much as just not doing anything is enough to at least allow things to maintain themselves. Of course, it would be nice to have one, but it would have been better if you had never increased them in the first place. That's a whole different topic. Oil is just going to continue to stabilize within these moderate ranges here. We're still in a continuation mode within the softness of it. It's still an improved DOC red, so any crossover tick at that particular point could be enough to get it back up to those peak levels. And if we look at gold from this standpoint, it's just filled in a little bit of the breakout that came through right there. We've got a pretty extreme move of the steel coming down. That's what's given a little bit of softness, but super extreme for the red. And even when the DOC red, the cyan moves above red here, it's already going to be at a peak level, so it's going to have to come down. So I would still expect gold to continue to make its foray to the upside. So this was a good one to point out because I think it really reflected what our expectation was, and that we would see both turnaround and improvement in the 5K long before we would see it in the 50K. And certainly you could play it from there, from a 5K, and then convert to 50K status. So I'll pop up that 50K chart here because we had a little brief reset right there. But beautiful from a standpoint of orange dips below, green crosses over, steel crosses over, everything all in alignment together. Making that happen with the shakeout turnaround. So this all happens even before the full gold over magenta on the shakeout, which is great. No objection to that whatsoever when that happens. And then it's kind of stabilized within that. The first one bought right there at the 85 range, which was pretty close to what we had on the 5K from the 86, and if you were even more aggressive, we're able to get into the upper 70 range from that dip down to the 76. And so we'll see how it portrays from there. It's still, you have cyan under red, but still a little bit soft with the steel, but that can improve pretty quickly. So we've got a nice reset of everything, which allows for a whole new run. When you have a reset of everything and you're still at 29.91, that's hardly the worst place in the world to be. So all good from that standpoint. As always, though, I will update you as necessary for charts during the day, and we'll continue to rock this. An awesome start to the month of July, and excellent with the volatility, so no complaints whatsoever. We'll just keep attacking it. As always, though, trade well. We'll talk again later.